2007 Chevy Tahoe. This is actually my Tahoe. When I was driving it from North Dakota back to Idaho, because I live in Idaho, and we're having issues. It's got the V8 5.3 and it's got V4 mode where it has DOD displacement on demand and AFM active fuel management, where it shuts 2 cylinders down on each bank. Well, when it was making a random noise, like a ticking, rubbing noise, when it was only going in the V4 mode, I proved that with the Altel scan tool. I shut it off and make the same noise. So to get me home, because I don't want it to go in V4 mode so my lifters wouldn't collapse, because if they do collapse, you got to pull the intake, the exhaust manifold, the heads. I tried cutting the power to it. Well, actually, I'll show you what I did. So there's some wiring off the mass airflow, wiring. I took a fuse out of the fuse box and rewired the purge solenoid. And the reason is because if you look at the schematics, I wanted to cut the power to these DOD lifters so that way it won't turn them, the computer won't turn them on and actuate it. Well, I could cut this wire, but it splices off of there. So instead I pulled this fuse. Well, that fuse is this fuse here, powers active fuel management. So I pulled that fuse out and then I ran power from one side of the fuse to my mass airflow, IET, and my evap. And then of course it turned them off. It wouldn't actuate them, but then it put the vehicle in limp mode, so I couldn't do that to get home. So then what I ended up doing is using my Altel scan tool, and I went to special function active test, and I had to command them off for the whole 1,300 mile drive home. So that wiring really didn't do much. I'm going to put all that back and figure it back. What you can do to turn these off is you can buy a little dongle. It's $100 or $200 on Amazon. It'll keep it in V8 mode. Problem is you might kick it. You got to leave it in. It can kill the battery if you leave it in so long. So I said, screw it. I bought HP tuners and PVI 2 Plus. I downloaded the VCM scanner and the VCM editor. So what I'm going to do now is I have a battery power supply hooked up. It's the first time for me ever using HP tuners. It's aftermarket stuff. I normally use factory programming, but you can't turn this off from the factory. I want to turn off the DOD lifters, and I want to also turn off the fuel alcohol content sensor, which I never use E85 on this vehicle. A couple of, I think, stupid designs that Chevy did, trying to complete a mission. So I'm going to go into the VCM editor. Again, bear with me, it's my first time ever doing this. I downloaded the software, I downloaded the drivers for the dongle. I have an HP Tuners account. I'm going to have to get some credits here shortly. But what I think I want to do first is read vehicle. Let me just see what we got here. File. Read vehicle, same thing, unit conversion. You know, when you get your account, you have to get your verification code. You have to... Sorry, I had to shut off for a second. Somebody wanted to talk to me. But anyway, so when you set everything up, get your verification code. There's videos on YouTube for that as well. When you get your credits, you resync and all this stuff. But so I'm going to go to read vehicle data. I got key on, engine off. All right, so I'm going to hit read here. Well, it may actually help to plug the damn thing in. Let me do that first. Let's try it again. We got it plugged in now. USB-C to USB on the computer. Go back to read. Key on, engine off. Battery power maintainer on. And I think what it's doing, it's reading all the files and downloading everything. Says vehicle information 2007 Chevy Tahoe. The VIN hardware E38 ECM GM Gen 4 V8 reading. Operating systems that reading tire hardware TCM. So there's the ECM, there's a TCM, and now it's reading. I'll pause it for now. So we're still reading, and the two controllers it's reading is the ECM and the TCM, because that's something you're going to change on here for, you know, aftermarket tuning. You would never change like the body control module. I guess some vehicles have the fuel pump control module. This one's built into the ECM. I worked on an 08 the other day. It has a separate fuel pump control module, but this one does not. So we'll let it continue to read here. So it looks like it read the first controller, the ECM. Now it's waiting 15 seconds before the next controller, which is the TCM. So now, yeah, it read the PCM or ECM. Now it's reading the TCM. I guess you can click on these and say do not read if you didn't want to read that controller, but I'm going to read them both and go from there. Of course, this file's a lot smaller, it looks like. So what it came up now is a save file, so I'm going to label it 2007 Chevy Tahoe original file ECM and TCM. I believe what we did is we're saving the base files, what's on the computer already. So I'm going to hit save. There, it's saved. Now a bunch of other stuff popped up on this computer. Alrighty, so now since I'm in here, I'm going to go to engine, I guess. I was watching the video. Got all the stuff. I think it usually starts you out on general, but I'm going to go to feel, lean feel right there. So lean feel, whatever that other tab says. DOD, from enable, I'm going to hit disable. And then I'm going to save it, I believe. Let me take a look. All right, so since I made changes to disable, I exit out. You can go save as. I save this as Tahoe mod. Now I'm going to click the right vehicle button. All right, so now I got to buy a license. So we can go to license options. It should take us to a website. Take a look. All right, so here it says credits available 0, do not license. We can do this specific vehicle, unlimited year, make, model, or unlimited platform, LS2 base. You go to purchase online credits. I'm going to purchase my credits next. All right, so I bought 2 credits from their website, $49.99 a piece. I think you can go to the tuningschool.com and save 5%, but I'm going to hit right now because I got my Tahoe mod file up here, and I'm going to hit right vehicle. It says you don't have a license for this vehicle, so license options. It says specific, so attention, you don't have a license. We want to license it. It takes 2 credits. I'm going to hit specific, 2 credits. Okay. Are you sure? This action cannot be done. Used license credits will not be refunded. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, so now what we got to do next is take a look. All right, so for the TCM, we're going to hit do not write. The ECM is what we changed. We're going to hit write calibration because we're only changing the DOD stuff. You could write entire, that's the whole file. There's no need to. We don't want to do not write like the TCM and the VATs. If you change delete security or write VIN, tuner lock VATs, you have to do the whole thing. So what I'm going to do now is write calibration for the ECM. And then do not write for the TCM. I'm going to hit write. And hopefully I don't brick my computer. So now it says it's writing, it's initializing, downloading bootloader, erasing it. Write time. This is just like, basically like the Chevy SPS2 program, it looks like almost. But, you know, different. So I'm going to pause it while it's writing. All right, so it says write completed. So like I said, it's done being written. So we're going to close it. And now we're going to start it up and drive it and make sure it doesn't go in the V4 mode. All right, so I'm driving. It's in V8 mode. I've been driving it for 20-30 minutes now, and Has never went to V4 mode at all. So that is good. Eventually I'm going to turn off the fuel alcohol content on this thing, like I said. But you can do a bunch of other changes to HP tuners, depending on the vehicle, platform, and all that stuff. Various options. So now I shouldn't have any. The DOD lifters, displacement on demand, active fuel management won't be active. Hopefully this engine lasts quite a bit longer now. If eventually they go out, I'll have to replace them. I've done another video replacing some of the DOD lifters, but if you catch it in time, you can turn it off where it doesn't go into V4 mode and actuate those hydraulic lifters and collapse, so they don't get collapsed and stuff. So HP tuners turned it all off and it's good to go. So that is it for this 2007 Chevy Tahoe.